in a windstorm, this is not going to stay stable. Your tent's not going to stay stable. First thing you're going to have to do is to throw heavy rocks under everything. So I'm looking, here are the two orange ends, so they're going to be down here. So I will, and this goes across the top. You can see one minor aspect of having poles. Sometimes they start to fracture a little bit, so there's some duct tape there. You always have some duct tape or something. Okay. So you got to get this thing up as fast as possible. You can see now that it is exposing mesh with the floor of the tent. If it's pouring down rain, that's going to get wet in there. And so you want to work very quickly getting this up. And you can see that it's quite a chore getting the poles up. Some people say there's a technique where you could put up the fly first and then put up the inside later. I'm not sure how you do that, considering you have to peg down everything. So make sure white with white, so on and so forth. Getting that up. And the amount of times you need to walk around the tent becomes very unnerving. Okay, what I'm not doing is staking down the tent, which in real life, I would say greater than 95% of the time, I'm gonna have to have stakes in there, or you're just not gonna get the tent up. You don't. Real life, you have wind. You have real wind. So this goes up. And this goes across. Okay, it's pouring down rain, and you're still getting everything wet inside your tent. Okay, and the wind is blowing so that you can't even think about putting the fly up till you get some anchor on your tent, right? So here's a little technique I learned, is that if you put it through like that, that's your tendency, these are going to come out. So I always double it, so you have a double loop, and you're going to be much more secure. So go down like that, double it, and you'll be much more secure with your tent. You get the idea. Okay, now you're ready to put the fly up. And again, the problem with this fly is these orange things have to go down below, but you also have to make sure that it's the right side right. And so when the fly is on, this is going to read outside normal. So it's going to go like this. Now, just try doing this in a blinding windstorm. It isn't going to happen. but it is easier because all you need to do is clip. Then all you need to clip. So I usually get the lower end on first. And I find my tent will be more stable if you come over around here. If you actually stick these things into them on both sides, the fly will be more stable. Okay, and then you have these last two. And now you're in a position where everything inside the tent is going to stay dry. You're not going to have to worry. But you like your vestibules because that's where you could throw your backpack and your shoes once you get them off, in order to keep those out of the rain. So if it's raining out, you're going to want everything possible. Typically, because this side opens up, I will just pin down one side and you know, the same loop technique, go out as far as possible. And the other side I will typically not use as a door, so you can, and if you're going to use it as a door, you just want to tack one side down. Okay, that's it. Now they have all these other cords coming out here, right here, 2 cords here, and these. I would occasionally pin down these cords, okay, which I'm not going to do today, but I would occasionally pin them down just to get the fly away from the mesh of the tent itself. And now you have your tent that you've seen in many of my blog posts. It is right like this, and it's a 2-man tent, so you know you could have 2 backpacks on each side and fit 2 people in here comfortably. I think the standard on the Pacific Crest Trail is for everybody to use a 2-man tent for each person because they just like a little extra room inside. Right now I've just opened the tent up and threw it out haphazardly, and the first thing I'm going to address are the corners, all 4 corners. You can see that I'm using just a little bit bigger tent stakes for that. These go out at a 90-degree angle, and I would normally use a rock to pound these down. Okay. I've had many situations where, well, the really bad wind situations, these tent pegs do not hold. So I got to put an 8 to 12 inch diameter rock on each area where the tent peg is to keep it. And that's not a fault of the tent. That is a fault of the tent pegs, where you just have to take account for them. Okay. These go out to about 125. Not quite 125. We'll go about 122. It's raining. So far, nothing has occurred with the tent that will get rain inside the tent. So far. Ah, the tent's up. Now I could go around and tighten all the locks. They usually tell you to tighten these out also. It sits a bit off the ground, so you do get the air inside, and you're wondering, well, how do you get air inside? What are you thinking, David?
Oh, that is amazing, the Cuban fiber. This is incredible.
Okay, the air inside first, if it's not raining too hard, and you take one of these down, these are pitched over far enough that rain will not run in your tent. But I want to, and there are a number of brands. I think Zpacks is the very first people to actually make this style of tent. But I'm gonna zip the opening up, and you gotta kind of kneel down and look in here, because what you'll see is on the side is mesh there. See how there's mesh there? You have a bathtub floor that comes up about 8 inches, and then there's mesh, and that provides for breathability. So that the tent does breathe, plus the breathability through here and elsewhere. Does a very, very substantial job at keeping rain out, keeping wind out, used in very, very inclement conditions. But you can see how the entire tent went up with never having to expose the inside to rain. And that's why people like it so much. It's a single wool tent. It seems I don't own stock in this company, and a number of other people like Hyperlight Mountain Gear and numerous others are making very, very similar tents, and they're becoming the popular tent. So what are the problems with this tent? The biggest one is condensation inside, okay? But the condensation is going to run down the wall, So as long as you don't touch it, it'll run down and it'll come out through this mesh, which supposedly does work. The floor is a heavier Cuban fiber, or what do they call it?
Dyneema.
Not Cuban, huh?
Dyneema.
Dyneema. It's a heavier Dyneema fiber, and so they tell you you really don't need a ground cloth. And you know, I'm just wondering how many days or weeks it'll take me to get rid of the ground cloth. I don't know. It's very roomy inside. There's no confusion. What's the white side? What's the orange side? The material is extremely durable, and it's proved the test of time that slowly these are becoming more and more and more popular. For a 3-man and above, where the tent is larger and you could actually kneel down in the tent and be totally comfortable, or stand, this style of tent doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense if you're camped in an area where you're going to be staying for a while. You want better breathability. You want the better comforts of a a double wall tent. But for through hiking, where you can assure that every morning this tent is coming down, it's going to need to be reset up. A few hours later, you're not sure what the weather conditions are going to be like. You want a tent that can more adapt to those conditions than the tent I was using.